Hi everyone, this is your host Prasha and welcome to Her STEM Stories episode number 79. Today we're talking to a science communication trainer and a digital nomad, Jessica, who held a workshop at our Wonder Women in STEM online conference this past weekend. So we'll be talking about her story and a lot of other things about the conference. If you're having hashtag FOMO, make sure you use the link in our episode notes and get your recording links now. They're super cheap, super affordable, and you should definitely invest that money in you. It's like really only $20. So it's totally worth it. It's 2 days full of content and we really want you to have it. And again, just check out the episode notes. So let's get started.
Welcome to Her STEM Story, a podcast about real women with extraordinary science, technology, engineering, and mathematics stories. In this show, we'll talk to some absolutely inspiring women and highlight some women-led organizations in the fields of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. We'll learn more about their work, their struggles, and how they think we can close the gender gap in STEM professions. Keep listening to get inspired.
Jessica Rohde is a science communication trainer who successfully pivoted her career from research to science communication. She has trained scientists to better communicate across disciplines and with non-experts with various organizations, including academia, government, and nonprofits. She currently manages a community of scientists who research the Arctic, helping them connect online and form interdisciplinary collaborations. She's a digital nomad who works remotely while traveling to various countries. She has lived and worked in 33 countries so far. It's her passion to help others enter the expanding field of science communication, and she's creating strong communities online, especially on Instagram. So let's talk to Jessica to learn more about her amazing STEM story. Hi, Jessica. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Hey, Prasha. Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be on your podcast.
Oh, this is so cool. I'm so glad we could make it work. And you're joining us all the way from Albania, right?
Yes, I am in Albania I've been here for 2 weeks and I'll be here for another 2 weeks.
Yeah, so you call yourself a digital nomad. What does that mean?
Yeah, okay. So a digital nomad, you might also hear people refer to this as location independent, which I think I prefer that term. Somehow digital nomad sounds a little bit like a robot wandering the Gobi Desert or something. But what it actually means is you are a person with either a remote job or your own business or a freelancer, and rather than work from home or one location, you travel while you're working. So I've worked in 33 countries now. This is my 33rd. And I usually, go to a new country, spend about a month, do a little bit of sightseeing, and work during the week. So,
oh, that's awesome.
It's great. I love it. I will probably never go back to an office. And, it's just such a great way to experience the world and new things and meet really interesting people. So, I love it.
That's amazing. So, like, you would go there, you would rent like an Airbnb or an apartment, something like that for a month, and then you would just like on the weekends and just kind of live there for a month, which I feel like is so much better than just visiting as a tourist, right?
Definitely. I get to know the culture in the country a lot better. And yeah, I usually do rent an Airbnb. I also wanted to mention that I used to do this by myself as a solo traveler, but the longer I've been doing it, the more I've met people who have the same lifestyle, and actually we plan trips together. So right now I'm in Albania. I wouldn't have picked Albania because it's not a very popular destination, but 5 of my other friends they called me up and they were like, we're all renting rooms in the same building in Albania. It's right on the beach. It's cheap. And it's a really cool country. Come stay with us. So I have a whole little friend group here right now. We co-work together. We go to the beach together. It's really fun.
Oh, that's awesome. Sounds like a holiday.
It is, but we're working.
Yeah, that's amazing. No, that's I think you're the first location independent woman in STEM on this show. So I feel like that's such a great again, just something that we don't know much about. And I feel like that's like the Instagram dream that everyone wants to live. And the fact that you can do it while working in STEM or even like in psychom, writing, that kind of stuff is definitely very promising for our younger audience who's probably thinking, I really want to be an Instagrammer and travel the world.
Yeah, and I mean that's a great goal, and it's totally possible. This lifestyle is becoming more and more prominent. So yeah, if you want to be a freelancer, if you want to be an Instagrammer, or just have your own business, it's a pretty easy lifestyle to get into.
That's awesome. So before we get to the next questions, I have a quick follow up on that. What's your favorite country out of the 33 countries you've been?
Ooh, okay. So the answer you have to say is I can't possibly pick a favorite, but of course I have a favorite.
Yes, of course.
So the first place I ever went by myself was the Galapagos because I'm a biology nerd. And it was still, I mean, of course it has a special place in my heart because it was the first trip I did by myself, but it's just an amazing place because there are animals everywhere. They're so diverse and colorful and crazy behaviored, and they're not afraid of you. So you can walk right up to almost any animal, whether it's like a blue-footed booby or a marine iguana or a turtle, and they just kind of look at you like, oh, hello, you're not going to hurt me. How are you? It's just like unlike any place I've ever been.
Oh, that's so lovely. And that's the beauty of it, right? You've traveled so much that you have a contrast or, comparative knowledge that to compare something to. You know what I'm saying? Like I've been to like maybe 4 countries. So if you said what's your favorite country, it's gonna be like where home is, I guess. Like, you know what I'm saying? But you've traveled so much that it's a great.
Yeah,
it's just great. It's just so fascinating that people live that lifestyle because we're all like taught to be in this 9 to 5, get a house, get married, have dogs, have kids. So not that you can't have all those things while traveling, but I feel like it's just such a fascinating way of living.
Yeah, and that's a really good point. I think maybe with the millennial generation, I consider myself an elder millennial.
Yeah.
Because so many of us like decided usually we can't afford to buy houses, and we're just flipping the script on a lot of the things society tells us to do. And I think this is one of them. There's more and more people doing this. So yeah, you don't have to do what society says. Do what you want to do.
Yeah, that's
go explore the world if you want to.
So what would you say, where is home?
When I go back to the US, I usually stay in Washington, D.C. because that's like the central hub of my organization that I work remotely for. And it's a great city. There's so many smart people there doing amazing things, and it's diverse and culturally really rich.
Yeah.
So that is my favorite like home city, but I'm from Seattle, Washington, which is like up in the northwest corner of the U.S. Very rainy, but cool.
I love how you explained where Seattle is because only a world traveler can do that.
Yes, exactly. Because it's not one of the big cities in the U.S. So if I meet someone from another country and I go Seattle, they go, is that like Los Angeles? So, I have to make a little map for them.
That tells us you're so worldly because that's just something you never hear any American ever say. Like they never explain. Explain. Like my mom, like even I get like frustrated with my mom. I would say, okay, like we're going to Boston, and she's like, oh yeah, Boston is a state, and I'm like, no, it's not. And then she would like say something the similar way, or like even when I was in India, I would say Texas is a city, and I'm like, because we don't know geography here, but people just assume everyone knows everything about America.
Yeah, well, and Americans think that too, right?
That's what America. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
But yeah, I couldn't tell you where any cities are in most countries unless I've been there and I've learned it. I don't know where any cities are in India.
Yeah.
So you can't expect.
Have you ever been to India?
No, I've never been to India. I'm going to Asia at the end of this year, so I'm probably going to start in Thailand and do Bali, of course. All the digital nomads go to Bali. Yeah. And I know India has a reputation of being a hard place, particularly for women traveling by themselves.
Yeah.
So it's something I would want to work up to and find a good time in the year where I can, be prepared for maybe not being able to work all the time and being challenged in my day-to-day life.
Yeah.
So it's definitely on the list.
Yeah, no, so if you go to Delhi or Pune in India, there are like really nice communities which are very which have a lot of foreigners. So a lot of Americans, a lot of foreigners live in those areas, and those are way, way more like safer and like way, way more fun than a lot of the other parts of the city. So you don't have to kind of live only with the locals per se. But yeah, like I went to college in Pune, and trust me, people make it a big deal. It's not that bad, but I do agree. Like if you have never been and you don't know the language, it can be a little bit challenging for sure. Because I've not traveled a lot alone in India either, I would say. But yeah, so, and it's overwhelming because there's too many people. So, that's just another challenge that a lot of other countries don't have.
Yeah, definitely. I've only been from, pretty sparsely populated places. So.
Yeah. But
I would definitely do that. Thanks for the tips.
Tell me when you're going, and I'll hook you up with people and friends. And we love in India. Guest is like God. So really, if I were to say, okay, my friend's coming, like, oh my God, people are gonna just
That's so awesome. Thank you. I would love that.
That's wonderful. So tell us a little bit, now that we've caught up on your wonderful lifestyle, tell us a little bit about yourself. Like, where did you grow up? What did you go to school for? And what got you to this point in your life?
Okay. Well, like I mentioned, I grew up in Seattle, which is a medium-sized city, very liberal city in the United States. I think from a young age, I was always interested in all things in the ocean. I was really privileged in that when I was a child, my family took me on a vacation for 3 months to the Bahamas. Me and my brother and my mom and my dad. And we were snorkeling every day. I was seeing sharks and corals and fish. And I think that's where I really got hooked on marine biology and the underwater world. So that's what I pursued throughout my education. I got an undergraduate degree in biology out in Colorado, which is not near the ocean, but I studied freshwater ecology and limnology. And I still had my passion, but I remember after finishing my undergraduate degree, I really wanted to work in the field. I didn't want to be stuck in a cubicle, and looks like I succeeded. I'm not in a cubicle, but I always wanted a job in the field, and those are pretty hard to find when you're just coming out of undergrad. And to pay the bills, because I couldn't find a field job, I taught myself to make websites. And before that, I was like a technophobe. I don't know how to use computers. I didn't know how to do any programming. And like, it was a big deal that I somehow figured out how to do this. And actually, I really have to credit my brother a lot, because he was an IT guy. So while I was learning and making websites on the side, when I couldn't get something to work, I'd call him up and be like, Nick, can you fix this for me?
That's awesome.
So that actually really helped me in my scientific career, which I never would have predicted, because once I had that skill, I actually, in between undergrad and grad school, I got a bunch of jobs as a tech in different research labs, helping them make websites and, other random tasks. So I worked in a fisheries lab. I worked in probably the weirdest one is a paleomagnetism lab, which I didn't even know was a field before I started working in this lab. It basically is the study of the way the Earth's magnetic field has changed in very, very distant history.
Wow.
By examining like the magnetic minerals in rocks and ice cores. It's super fascinating.
Yeah.
And finally, I got to grad school. Through all that experience, I figured out like the thing that I wanted to study in grad school, which was salmon. I learned that salmon sense the magnetic field of the Earth, and just like a light bulb went off in my head. I was like, whoa, that is so cool. That's what I want to study. So I found the perfect lab back in Seattle, luckily. And so I moved back to Seattle, was going through grad school, and that's when I really got interested in psychom. And I can keep going with this story, but I know it's been going a little while, and you might have some other questions.
That's all right. No, really, that's so cool. I love the fact that you kind of connected the dots through your experience, and this is just how life unfolds in general, but I do feel like a lot of us are not paying attention when it's unfolding, and we kind of miss out on those things that excite us or that light us up or that get us excited or do more of what we like. And I feel like that's just always something I like. Even my life has a similar trajectory where I'm like, oh, I like this, let me do that. Oh, I like that, let me do that. So, kind of just like evolving. But I feel like we put a lot of pressure on ourselves to do the same thing that others are doing. So what was your, one lesson, like how did you kind of overcome that, fitting in feeling?
That's a good question. I think maybe, I don't know if maybe some people out there in radio land can identify with the feeling of always kind of being not the person who doesn't quite fit in for whatever reason. So it never really struck me that I really had to do, what people wanted me to do to fit in. So, even when I was a little girl, I didn't want to be the girl who listened to the Backstreet Boys. Like I refused to like the Backstreet Boys. I refused to read Harry Potter, as we talked about. And I was really into sports, and I was really into science, even though that's not a very girly thing, And I always said I never want to work in a cubicle. I never fantasized about getting married or having a baby. I just kind of knew that, I already am comfortable not fitting in, and I'm just going to do what I want to do. It's a good question. I don't know if that's a good answer for
no,
it,
I feel like, what did your family have an influence on that? Did your parents? It's usually the parents, because in my case it's the same thing. I never wanted to fit in, like never. Like that was just so not okay. Like if people had this haircut, I had the opposite. If people did this, maybe towards high school I probably tried to blend in at some point, but mostly like I've always remembered that never being an issue, because my dad was completely like, if everyone runs to the right, you run to the left. Like he was so like, he's like, I don't care, you get yourself in danger, but never follow the crowd. And it was just weird. Like he was so hell-bent on it that it's ingrained in me. But however, not so much in my brother. He's totally chill and totally like, he's fine. Like he doesn't get so like I get nervous when I'm fitting in, like when I'm doing things that very similar to other people. So maybe it was something to do with family. Maybe you had some role models growing up. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, the only thing I can think of, so my parents, I don't think they ever really encouraged me to be different, though they did, support me working hard in school, which is a value I learned from them. But yeah, I think they lived a pretty traditional life. Like they both worked. My mom's a nurse, my dad's a lawyer. I don't think there was anything there, but what I did just think of is my brother and I are twins.
Oh,
so
awesome.
So born on the same day. And I remember like, as we were growing up, we have all these pictures on the first day of school where we're wearing like matching outfits. Mine's a skirt and their pants. So like for a long time, we were pretty similar. And actually, I was kind of always the more independent of us two. Yeah. And Nick always like really looked up to me and, wanted me to be around. And I think maybe that influenced me to want to have my independence and to go my own way and to not be part of this package deal where I'm matchy all the time,
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm not a psychologist, but if I had to guess, that might be it.
No, and don't get me wrong. It's not so much to poke you to give me an answer. It's more so just to learn more about, you, because I feel like this is a question. I just want the audience to realize that, we all have different experiences in different life that, we have or different things that we've lived with, and that kind of shapes us to. So if someone's listening and thinking, yeah, it's easy for you to say, Jessica, that you can travel the world, and it's not that easy for me, it's like, maybe it is. You just need to dig down deep and realize, what it is that you really want. Like in your case, you want to stand out, you want to be unique, you want something that others maybe don't want. And then you kind of base your life off of that or those values. And I feel like a lot of people skip that step and just want like all the good things in the world. And it's like,
Yeah.
I feel like you should spend some time like learning about yourself, and that's why it's so important to even ask our guests these questions, which is,
yeah,
what makes you and you're a twin. We learned
that.
So that's cool.
A very independent twin. Well, I just want to comment one thing that you just said, because I think it's really important that I do sometimes hesitate to talk about my travel lifestyle, because I think a lot of people have that reaction to it of, oh, that's nice that you have this privilege, but I could never do that. And that's a totally legit feeling. I get it. I've felt it before. And what I've learned meeting so many other nomads is you don't have to have a lot of privilege to travel. You can actually travel very inexpensively and very well if you just do a little research and figure out what you're doing and leverage a community. Like I wouldn't have been able to start traveling by myself if I hadn't learned from so many people. So if anybody's thinking like, I'd love to travel, but it's not possible, I just want to say, it really is. I never thought I could travel by myself because I'm a woman. I thought, no way, that's too scary, that's unsafe. And now here I am, I do it all the time like it's nothing. So yeah, you're right. It's just a matter of your values.
Yeah. And a lot of work on, yourself, your journey. It's just, again, life's just unfolding right in front of us. So just got to make sure that we do what we really enjoy doing. So what's your favorite website to book tickets? I'll ask it here.
Okay. The system that I have is a little complicated, and it's also specific to people from the US. So I have a travel credit card that I put almost all of my purchases on. It's called the Chase Sapphire Reserve. It's probably the number one recommended travel credit card. You get, in addition to cheaper flights that you can book through the credit card, you also get all kinds of benefits. Like I have a lounge pass, so any airport I'm in, I can use the lounge. You get travel insurance, you get free TSA pre and global entry, a bunch of other stuff. So I usually try to book through there. But in order to find the best flights, I'll first look on, usually I use Kayak or Skyscanner, because if you have the freedom to travel any day, you can put in like, I want to go here sometime between this date and this date, and it will show you the cheapest flight on all of those days. And on Skyscanner, if you're really adventurous, you can just put in where you're starting from and the month, and it will show you the cheapest destinations you can go throughout that whole month. That one's always fun because you're like, oh, I never thought about going there, but Skyscanner just said it's cheap, so maybe I will.
That's awesome. I can't even imagine how that must feel, because we are in the 9-to-5 grind, and and anytime we're looking at tickets, it's the most annoying thing, because we're like, oh, we leave on Friday, we got to come back on like Sunday, oh my god, we need a day to like relax and then go back to work, and oh my god, like it's just half of our trips don't get done because of that. Oh wait, I have only 4 days left, you have 3 days left, how are we going to do this? Like it's just it's a constant battle, especially when you're in the 9-to-5. So that sounds so fun.
Yeah, it is. And I totally know the Friday, Sunday flight blues. I always end up flying on like Tuesday, Wednesday.
That's so awesome. That's wonderful. So that's a great tip. And if anyone's planning on traveling a lot, that's definitely a great tip to get that Chase Sapphire if you're in the US. So let's shift gears. And I know you have a very, very wonderful SciComm career, which allows you this lifestyle, which also kind of got us connected because you're in that world, and you gave an awesome workshop about it. So tell us a little bit about how you became a SciComm trainer.
All right. Yay, I love telling this story. So actually where we left off on my last story, it's a great place to pick this up. I was in grad school studying salmon migration, and I think I was first introduced to the idea of science communication when I saw this study that asked people, it just asked random people, what do you think, how many scientists agree that climate change is real? Like, what percentage think that it's real? And very surprisingly, most people said 50% of scientists agree that climate change is real. And we know that the answer is 97%. So the fact that there are so many scientists working so hard on really important big issues, and the voting public still doesn't understand like this ivory tower, this world of science and what they know, that's what made me realize not just science is not going to improve the world. What I really wanted to do was science communication and help make science have an impact on a larger society. So I was really lucky that at my university, there was a group of graduate students who were also really interested in science communication. And this was about 6 years ago. Now there are a lot of programs available for science communication training. There's workshops and courses and conferences, but back then there weren't as many, and there weren't any at our university. So the students decided to start teaching themselves. Originally, it was kind of a book club. And then they said, we know enough now, and there's enough interest in this that we can just create a course. And so they did. And at first they were just teaching it for free. And I took that course, and it absolutely changed my life. I loved it. I learned so many new important things about communication. And at the end of the course, I did the scariest thing I've ever done in my life, which was get up on a public stage and give a talk about my research. And I had, you might not believe this about me, but I used to be a very shy person.
No way.
So, I know, nobody believes me, but it's true. So I'm proof that you can overcome public speaking fear and shyness. Although on that first talk, I would not recommend you go listen to it unless you wanted proof of how scary and how bad you are likely to be on your first time doing any SciComm, and that's okay. But, once that was done, everything else is a little bit easier now. So I was still really excited about this course. I decided I really wanted to teach it because it was students who were teaching it. And I went up to the group and I said, hey guys, can I teach this? They were like, well, yeah, but we don't get paid to teach it. We're just doing it for free. And I was like, let's see if we can get paid to do it. That's not cool.
Yeah.
So we went to like the administration of the college and said, can you give us a TA for this? And they said, yes. So I got paid to teach this course for the first time ever. And I think that really goes to show that, as we've heard a lot in the conference, if you don't ask, the answer is always no. And if you ask, it might be yes.
Yes.
So, and then I love teaching this course because like the community of students that founded it and ran it was so strong, and it's all about helping one another learn and improve and building each other up. And because it was such a grassroots effort, there was really this sense of like, this is our thing. We're building this. We're doing something awesome together. And that just really lit this energy in me to go into this career in SciComm. And I didn't know exactly how I was going to get there, but I had a plan. So after I finished teaching the course, because of that experience, I started getting invited to more and more science communication organizations and events. I actually went to a workshop where other science communication trainers and university administrators and even funders were all getting together to figure out how to make more science communication training available, especially like as a normal part of your graduate student career. Like that's just something everybody does. And that was a really cool workshop and super motivating. One of the things they recommended was we need to make sure that we have quality science communication training programs, because right now it's a little bit, well, back then it was like the Wild West. Like people were just offering this and that, and there was no really standard curriculum or quality measurements.
Mm-hmm.
So based on that inspiration and energy, I decided to get this awesome group of grad students together and do an evaluation of our course. Only problem is we didn't have money for that either. And I think it's very important to pay people who do these things, especially pay your grad students, right? So what we decided to do was crowdfund the money we needed to do this research, which I highly recommend it if you're thinking about crowdfunding. It's super fun. It's a great practice of your science communication skills, because you have to convince people who are usually non-scientists. You have to convince them to give you money for your science. So it's fun. It's a great science communication practice. We were successful. We got almost $5,000. We did this study, this evaluation of the course, and then we were able to publish it in the Journal of Science Communication, which was so exciting to have all of these students as authors on this published paper. It was one of their first papers.
That's awesome. I feel like you have created your own opportunities, like Catherine said, and just kind of found a way to not only do what you like, but also to get paid for it.
Yeah.
So
and I think that was a really important point that almost everybody at the conference said, which is, you've got to go out there and create your opportunities, even though it's scary, even though you might fail. If you don't try and put yourself out of your comfort zone, you've already failed. But if you go try and just, act even though you feel like an imposter or you feel scared, you're at least going to be somewhat successful because you tried. And you might be wildly successful. People might give you money, but the first step is just trying and putting yourself out there.
Yeah, I feel like people are focusing so much on the money, the fame, I need so many Instagram followers, I need to make money out of it. Oh my God, suddenly from 9 to 5, I need to live a nomadic lifestyle, but they're not figuring out these little steps. Like, you don't need to do this huge transformation like tomorrow, you gotta just start somewhere and follow your curiosity. Like, I like to say that because I feel like you just, once we become adults, like, we totally not do it. Like, we're so like programmed by the system, I guess, that we're just not thinking that, hey, like, podcasting makes me curious. Like, let me see what this is all about. Let me read a few things about it. And then you'll be surprised that something will click. And, you, as I was saying on my talk, I said, you in your life have always figured it out. You've always done it. Like, it's not like you have never, like, if you needed a PhD, you've done it. If you've, whatever you needed in life, what you wanted in life, you figured it out. Like, we all did, we never just said, screw that. Like, only when you didn't want it, you said, whatever, I'm not working on it. But everything else, I feel like people just don't give themselves the credit. But
it's true.
Yeah, your story is like taking that curiosity to the very next level, which is so cool.
Yeah.
And your energy is just so contagious, I have to say.
I try.
You have this, I feel like you're like a, what do you call it? A yin yang. I feel like you have so much energy, but you're also so calm when you talk. And then you have so much energy, but you're also so calm. And it's just wonderful.
Oh, Prasha, that's a really nice compliment. Thank you.
It's so awesome. Like, your speech is so calm. Like, I feel like that's just such a nice thing. So,
well, years of practice. And I want to agree with you, because you've now touched on this twice, the like following your curiosity and trying new things. And I think it's really important to point out that sometimes we get stuck on this idea that the path has to be linear, and we've got this goal and we've got all the steps to get there, and we are going to work so hard on that path and we're never going to veer from it. But then, as you and I are both seeing, you miss out these little opportunities to explore your curiosity and maybe go a different way and see what happens and try things out. So I think both of us are a testament to like just how far you can go by just being open to more different experiences and seeing what happens.
Yes, definitely. And this weekend we try to create a little bit of that and like kind of see a glimpse of what that would look like if we were to help people and women especially realize their potential and also realize what is possible for them. Also, at the same time, not feeling like they're alone. And so you right away, like you're such a doer. You're such a doer. Like right away, you created this community called hashtag STEMFem Society. Tell us a little bit about that and how people can either join or help you out.
Cool. Okay. So one thing that I have found to be really helpful in conferences like this, where there's a strong community, and I've been to a few, is a way, a channel, a tool to keep in touch and keep that momentum and energy and support and helping each other out going after the conference. And of course, like we have your account, Her STEM Story, which is super inspirational and highlights all these amazing women. And we have the conference next year, and everybody who's speaking is still, we're around, we're talking. But I really wanted to create a space where people could come together for the purpose of really utilizing the community. Sorry, I hate the word utilize. Let me re-say that. Using the community to support one another and to grow. And that's where Dia, Lab Life Media, and I had been talking for a little bit, and you too, Prasha.
Yeah.
How could we keep this going? We thought about the hashtag community over competition, because that's something we all believe in. Yeah. And then I thought, well, what about something that's just more specific to this? And Dia, who's a social media whiz, came up with STEMFem Society. So right now it is a hashtag and an Instagram chat. Instagram chats are limited to the number of people that can participate. And I think we're at the maximum right now, but I'm going to probably filter the people who are in there just to see if they really want to be participating and be involved, or if they want to open up the space for somebody who's more interested in sharing and growing. Yeah. So that's the type of people I'm looking for in the chat. People who want to say, hey, I posted this about our theme that we're talking about this week. We're talking about community over competition. What do you guys think? Where can I improve? What are you working on? That's the kind of community I want in this chat. Yeah. But there's still a hashtag for anybody that wants to keep their content and conversations going. You can use STEMFem Society.
Yeah. So on this topic, I have a really good question for you. I feel like, what do you think? Because a lot of people have wrong connotations and wrong ideas about social media, because it's definitely, something that is still something that we don't understand completely as an entire human race. But tell us a little bit about like the power of social media. I feel like, we're a testament that it's such a powerful platform, but building communities, or even like talking about SciComm for SciCommers, like what are your maybe one thing that you think makes social media so wonderful, and maybe one thing that people can start doing today on their social media to kind of showcase their SciComm or showcase their lives, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I think you want me to keep it short because you said one thing, so I'll try.
Don't worry, if you said two things, that's fine too.
I guess the most important thing I want to say about social media is that is how I would credit it directly as the most powerful tool for me getting into the science communication community and feeling, knowing people who were already doing it, finding communities that can support me in my SciComm journey, and learning and networking and having the success that I have now. And back when I was starting out, I only used Twitter. That was actually, back then it was still kind of hard to get scientists to use Twitter. And that was one of my missions in life. Was I gave a lot of presentations on Twitter and why you should use it, and met with a lot of resistance from scientists. A lot of times they are not pro social media, but it's changing. But I met so many people. I found communities, I went to conferences, and I finally, it takes some time when you're new, but after being active, talking to people, having conversations, I felt like I belonged in the science communication world. Um, and I think my number one tip is to remember that social media is social. A lot of us are worried about posting regularly, how many likes we get, how many comments we get. But that is not the value of social media. That might make your account grow, but the value of social media is meeting people in your community and talking to them and getting to know them and seeing how you can support each other. So, Prasha, we've never met in real life. We only met on Instagram, and look what we're doing now. And it's the same with Dia, and it's the same with many of my colleagues who I'm having collaborations with. So, my number one tip is just talk to people. Don't get so worried about your content. Socialize.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's such a lovely tip. I feel like that's my biggest pet peeve, that accounts are growing and growing and growing. We just don't know who's behind them. We don't know what they want, what they're up to, what's next. Like, people want to know more about you, and people who show up on their accounts, people who, again, to your point, like come in their stories or even start a conversation, are usually the ones that get the most engagement. And in terms of if they were and then they build trust. So I feel like, and this is something people are going to hate me for, but we're all trying to sell something at the end of the day. We all want to sell something. We all want to make this our full-time job, at least if you're trying to do it with an organization or, with a mission like ours. You're probably going to try to monetize eventually. And that's what's driving you to the likes, to the followers, I don't think someone wakes up in the morning and says, let's see how much impact I'm going to have today on like Instagram. No, everyone's thinking, when will I have more followers, and how will I feel like, how will I get that to monetize? Because that's just always the dialogue. Like, no matter, nobody wants to agree to it, but it's true. And I feel like, to your point, like, if we would build that trust, if we really care about people, really socialize, be ourselves, be authentic, show up for the community when it comes the right time to bring more value, whether it's in exchange of services, in exchange of money, in exchange of, look, even I hesitate to say money. It's just such a weird thing. It's such a big dark monster. Like, it's like, oh, money, like, it's like such a monstrous thing to say, but I'm trying to watch that. So it's interesting how we think about it. But anyways, at that time, you'll have the most trust with this person. They'll know you and they'll be there for you, to help you grow your business, your project, whatever it may be.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. Very well said. You gotta give value before you can expect to get value.
Yes.
So if you're starting to grow on social media, just something that Lorena, Girl Change the World, says, and actually Dia says it too, is, how can I support you? Let me know if I can do something to support you. And that, I'm going to start saying that now, because that's really what it's all about, is how can we help each other and then build something bigger together.
Yeah, no, for sure. Awesome. I think this is just exactly where we need to take our Women in STEM community, especially on Instagram. Twitter, that's a different animal. And I wouldn't comment on it. I have a lot of following on Twitter, but honestly, I am myself not so sure how that beast works, to be honest with you. Because I am tiptoeing around Twitter like there's no tomorrow. Like, I don't want to get involved in anything. I'm like, because I don't feel like that's me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel on Instagram, it's me. It's colorful. It's vibrant. It's visual. Yeah.
That's why I like it too. I like the visual aspect of Instagram. And to be honest, like, yes, Twitter is still important. If you're using Twitter well, you're still going to succeed. But I kind of feel like Twitter might have peaked in science. And now perhaps the new frontier is Instagram, or really perhaps the new frontier is TikTok, but I haven't wrapped my head around TikTok
Oh
yet.
my God. Yeah, me neither. I'm like the most awkward human on TikTok. I've tried it. Maybe that's what I should do. I should make awkward, like in out of sync videos, and maybe I get popular. Who knows? Like, it's just so weird.
Awkward science girl.
No, like that's too much. But yeah, I think that's the new frontier for sure. So, with social media, of course, her STEM story has only grown because of social media. That's the only reason. Twitter, even though I am saying bad things about Twitter, but Twitter is the reason we're here. Twitter is the reason the show got the reception it did, and like how I could keep going, because that was the only platform that was growing. And Instagram, actually, I just started working on it in like May or like March this year. Yeah, like I had an account since I started the show, but I never did anything with it. We did the rebranding and all that stuff early this year, so that's just been very, very new. And every time, like Instagram, I've always had a love-hate relationship. Like I would do it for a while and I would leave, and I would do it for a while and I would leave. And I do see people do that still, like with their accounts. They do it for a while and they leave. And I feel like the biggest problem is that you don't have a goal. You don't have any like plans of what you want to do with it, that at the end of the day you get overwhelmed because you see all these people doing so many wonderful things and they're growing, and you get overwhelmed and you're like, yeah, I will never be able to do that, so let me just delete the app. You know, like I used to do that all the time, and I'm like, I can't, like, I don't know, everyone has such a wonderful life, I can't see it, you know, I need to stop. Which is good for you, like if it's affecting your mental health, like, you know, please go ahead and not do it. But since we started putting some goals in place, since we put community over competition, since we like reached out to people, connected with people, it's much, much more fun, and it's much, much more a two-way street. You know, it's not just taking your energy, it's actually energizing you in return. So
that's true. I go through phases too. It's okay. But I really like your solution to it of finding your goal and
why are you here?
Why you want to do it. I think that's important for anything you try to do.
And a lot of people
going through the motions.
And a lot of people cannot answer this question. I ask them all the time. Like I get questions like, oh my God, how do I grow my Instagram? And I go like,
why?
And there's like nothing. Like there's like, because that will mean that more people are seeing my content. It's like, but why? Why should they see it? Like, what is it that you want them to do with it? You know, I feel like people discount the fact that the audience is very intelligent, and the audience is very, they need something, like, you know, and they're looking to be sold something, like whether it's whatever you're trying to sell them. But if you don't know what you're trying to sell them, it's like, okay, like you're going to be slowly growing until you find yourself. You know, it's very much like life. Like things always work out once you figure it out, like for yourself. And you're like, okay, I got it. Like, you know, but when you're struggling with your own like place in the world, or your place inside, saying, who am I? What do I want? Life also is all very, very confusing when you don't know all that. Actually,
you know, I've been thinking about this exact thing a lot recently because I was just reading this SciComm book. And they mentioned that having a goal in your science communication is something we usually skip. And it's actually really important, because if you don't know what you're trying to do, you're never going to be effective. And that's why I put that in my presentation. It was maybe not like the most interesting slide, but I was like, look, guys, I said, here's all the many different types of SciComm jobs. And if you aren't really sure what you want to do, just take a step back and be like, why do you want to do SciComm? Do you want to influence policy? Do you want to influence voters?
Yeah.
Do you want to inspire the next generation? Do you want to, you know, if you think about that, you're going to be so much more effective and fulfilled in any kind of SciComm you're doing, or really, as we're talking about, like anything you're trying to do in life.
No, that's amazing. And I feel like all because of social media, we are here talking about, you know, also your journey, but also the fact that we had this wonderful weekend of Wonder Women in STEM online conference. A lot of people say, why do you call it a conference when it's actually a virtual summit? And I'm like, because it's a conference, and I don't want women to feel like they did not go to a conference. I want them to feel like it's a real legit conference, which is only online. That's the only difference. So it's not a virtual summit. It's an online conference.
Definitely.
So that's, I will put it out there. So tell us like 3 of your favorite things that happened this weekend.
Okay, this is a tough question, but
or one. Tough to partner, actually.
No, there's too many, but I'll probably start talking about one and then I'll be talking for way too long. So
that's okay. Don't worry about it. Do not worry about it. That's for me to worry about. Don't you should just say your what comes to mind.
Okay. So I think probably you and I, Prasha, agree that maybe the most different talk we heard on day one was Lorena, Girl Change the World, who talked about picking your board of directors, picking those people who you want to be mentors, and looking at it like an actual board of directors where you're hiring and firing and saying, this is what I want you to do.
Yeah.
And I never thought about it in that way.
No.
And what it really made me think about, something that I've started to value more in the past year, is how important it is to be intentional with who you spend your time with, not just your mentors, but your friends, your peers, because and I've learned this from being part of the digital nomad community. If you're around people who are doing amazing things and a lot further in the journey than you are, you're going to feel inspired to do it, and you're going to learn so much, and you're going to be challenged, and you're going to grow way faster if you're really intentional about who you spend your time with. So, and I feel like that's what Wonder Women in STEM is. It's a community of people who are inspired and working and growing, and it's intentional. So kudos to you for making this online conference not a virtual summit. It's like, have you ever seen The Good Place?
No.
Okay, never. Well, if anybody's seen The Good Place, it's like Janet's a girl, not a girl. I'm a robot or whatever. Anyway, bad joke. Cut that part out.
Oh, wait. This is all going in. Like, not cutting it out.
This is real. We're doing it live. Flippers and all.
Yeah. But,
okay.
Yeah. Go ahead.
2 more things. Or did you want to expand on that? I have some more things.
Go ahead. Keep expanding. No, but I love Lorena's talk. I think she was, wow. I had no words for her talk. Like, it was just, again, something that like got us all like thinking about things so differently, and realizing that, you know, the people that are successful in doing what they do is not because they are special or different. It's just because they're strategic and intentional, as you said. So they don't let people, and this is something I'm learning too, but we give away so much of our energy to the wrong things, or to the negative stuff around us. Even if you're social media, like if you were to go back, if you have an iPhone and look back how much hours you spend on it in a day, and how much of it is actually intentional or productive, you'll realize like you're just wasting your time. No wonder there are people who are like more successful than you, because they're not doing that, you know? So like same thing, like people are surrounding themselves with friends and family, which is great. But how much of it is really like quality time with friends and family versus you're just wasting a lot of time and not using this, you know, again, these strategies that Lorena shared, because your growth is going to be, as you said, exponential if you were to put these strategic things in place. So it was lovely, I think.
Yeah, it was. And you're right. It's not just people. It's intentional with your time. So that could be theme 1, being intentional.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
I also really felt like we heard so much about people's failures and how they overcame them. And we all experienced that. Yeah. And I think in my own journey, because I have a full-time job right now, but I am aiming to have my own science communication training business probably next year. It's really hard for me to think about leaving my job because I love it so much. But that is my kind of dream goal. And as I've learned more about launching your own business, and you probably know this too, Prasha, fear of failure is strong, and probably you are going to fail at lots of different things. And I'm trying to change my mindset so that when I fail, I'm happy, because it means I get to learn a whole bunch of things about how to do it better next time, and I get to try again. And I just want to fail so much that I get desensitized to it, because the only way you're going to succeed is if you just try a bunch of stuff and go with what works and don't get discouraged by failure.
Yes, yes,
I think we heard that
definitely.
a lot.
Yeah, that was really good. I think the talk all about like failure, Jennifer's talk. Oh my God, I was
Yes.
crying. I was like,
I
and she
know.
kept hitting us with like truth bombs. I was like,
Yeah.
stop. Like
Everybody's like, get out of my head.
everything.
Feelings.
Like she could literally break that talk into an entire 2 days of just talking about each one of those things. Like, because all of them are so true and we all like suffer from them.
Yeah, that's true. And actually, maybe that's an idea for another.
Yes, let me write it down. In my huge idea book right now.
And then the last thing I felt like is a lot of people who were speaking really overcame some hardships, and some people who were saying, you can't do this, or even inside their head, just their own selves telling them you can't do this.
Yeah.
And the people who've been really successful have heard lots of people tell them, what you're doing is not good enough, it's wrong, do this, not that. And I think it was Stephanie, future doctor, who really made me feel this, where she just said, I decided not to listen to what those people said, and I'm going to do what I want to do anyway. And so that was just really moving to me. And I feel like there's so many inspiring women in the Wonder Women in STEM online conference who've done that.
That's awesome. And I feel like, so the day one was pretty much laying out those foundations. And I know you didn't get a chance to do day two, but you already had the link. You already have the links. Don't worry.
I've been watching it.
But day two was literally about putting all this to action, which I thought flew so well. Because we talked a lot about tools, and we talked a lot about, let's look at your resume. I mean, next day also we looked at like strengths and values, and a lot of that was like, okay, you are now like fired up, and let's just put it in practice, like kind of like sort of like the theme of day two was like that. And I'm like so excited that you got a chance to attend the whole day. First day I was like, she's tuning in from Albania.
So tired, but I couldn't stop.
So many of the people were from different time zones. So I'm sure by now our audience is wondering, what the hell? When did this happen? How come I didn't go? Okay, first of all, you didn't go because you didn't listen to the last few episodes, because I've been shouting at the top of my lungs. That's why you missed it. And don't worry, if you missed it, the links are going on sale tonight, which means you can go ahead and buy the replay links. And they're super, super affordable. And then this is just our way of making sure that you get all the value, because even going in, we were not sure, how this is all going to turn out. We knew how amazing it'll be, but no way in the world we knew this is how amazing it is going to be. So we feel like everyone should get a chance to listen to it. And the response has been phenomenal. And so many people had FOMO, as I had said before. You're going to have FOMO if you don't buy it. And I mean, tell me this, Jessica, the average ticket was like $27.50. Like, come on.
For so much value. It's crazy.
So much value, right?
Also, I have FOMO because I haven't seen day two.
Yeah,
so.
See, already. So I'm thinking an average, we had a $50 ticket, but then we had discounts and promo codes and stuff like that. So at the end of the day, after we did the average, for each ticket was about $27.50. And I'm like, seriously, guys, like if you can't spare $27.50 for your personal development, for your personal development, like that's something you should do. Like, you should spend.
Yeah.
Like people, I feel like that's one thing I've studied people this year. And I said, why are certain people growing so fast and the others are not? Why are some people like really creating value, creating a business,
meeting their goals,
sustainable, right? Why is that happening to a certain group of people and the others are still where they were? And these people have invested in themselves, not just $1 or 10. They've invested thousands of dollars to be able to say, to overcome all their fears, to overcome all their challenges. And I think you'll agree too. Like we need to invest in ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely. I've thought the same way recently. My thinking's changed, and I was going to put this in my talk, and I didn't have time, but I was going to say, to get really good at something, you have to get you have to invest in either training or some kind of professional development.
Because
people who are professional sports players have coaches, people
Ugh.
who are business owners
Actors.
have mentors, and
everyone. And I feel like this is just such a, and this is what keeps the middle class the middle class. I feel like because we are just not, we don't understand the concept of investment, and we don't understand the return of investment. So let's say you buy this ticket for $50 full price, right? You buy the ticket for $50, and even if you redid your resume, because there was one whole workshop on how to redo your resume, even if you took that one car point from Krishana's talk and put it in your, which is by the way a really really great point of redoing your your resume. If you redid that and you applied for a job, let's say you got a $50 raise, just $50. Not even, I'm not saying 50,000, 5,000. No, just a $50. You make, let's say you make $1,000 now, you make $1,050 after you upgraded your resume. You're going to make that $50 for the rest of your life. Can you imagine how much return on investment that is?
Yeah, absolutely.
And for whatever reason, we don't think like that.
Yeah, I think it's because we have like the internet. It's the best thing and the worst thing, because you think, I can just find whatever for free on the internet. But the truth is, the free stuff is not as good. It's not as valuable. And you have so much value packed into this 2-day conference.
Yeah. And again, I'm just like, because I am trying to convince myself into investment, and that's why I'm so passionate about trying to convince other people to invest in themselves. And it's just, I feel like that's the difference. If you're wondering why someone's doing way, way better, way, way faster, it's because they're investing in themselves. I mean, we don't think about college like that. We give these people hundreds and thousands of dollars.
Yeah, that's so true.
and guess what? If interest in everything, the return on investment, you don't even calculate that. You just go ahead and pay them, these colleges, all the money. A lot of people do MBA when the MBA doesn't even mean anything. They just want that degree. But here, if you were to invest in professional development, whether it's buying books, getting coaches, like this is the golden age to live in. But if you do that, you're learning life skills. You're learning from someone else's mistakes. That's something that's not taught in college, by the way. You can't make mistakes in college.
Yeah, true.
So anyways, that's my passion for letting women know. The reason you're not doing well is because you're not investing in yourself. You don't even trust in yourself. Why would anyone invest in you when you don't invest in yourself? Yeah. Why would anyone give you money,
Yep. And I think it's changing. I think more people are realizing that I don't have to just pay a small fortune to a university and take whatever crazy courses they offer. If I want to do something, I can find somebody I like to teach me that thing very well and very efficiently. And I don't have to go to university. I can do it on my computer.
Yeah. That's amazing. So tell us, what's that one thing our audience can take away from your story?
My life story or my...
Both.
Dumb story.
From you. Let's say one takeaway from just what you've become through this journey. What is that one thing that we can all learn? I
guess, you mentioned my energy, and somebody at the conference gave me also a very nice compliment where she said, you are very confident and at ease. And I hadn't thought of myself that way before. I think because I was for so long this shy girl, and I didn't realize that at any point I'd changed, or suddenly I was like, now I'm this confident, calm person. I think what it took is just lots and lots of practice of putting myself out there, taking risks, trying hard things, being uncomfortable, being awkward, and just being like, I'm just going to do it. It might be hard for a minute, but once I do it, it's just going to get easier. So I guess that's my message, is you can, through small actions consistently, you can overcome so much if you just go through that discomfort, and you can become something awesome.
Oh, that's lovely. That's so well said. So
I'm glad, because that was kind of off the top of my head. I hadn't figured out
that's
what I
okay.
would say for that yet.
Don't worry. And it was beautiful. I think it was great. And I think all of us need to, like, again, believe in the power of little actions and not worry so much about like the huge gigantic picture that we're trying to create, or the vision, or whatever that is. Like, that's great, but it's not going to happen until you take that first step, right? Like, if you there's a quote, I don't even remember now, but like, you can't climb a mountain, you have to take the first step, right? Like, you can't just you're not Superman. Like, you're not just going to go to the top. Like, you are going to have to walk the walk to get to the top of the summit. So
people overestimate what you can do in a day, but they underestimate what you can do in a year or 5 years. You keep putting in those little actions.
And I feel like it's all because of the way we were taught. It's all programmed. It's all, somebody planned this out this way so that we all have limiting beliefs, because they were kind of bombarded on us growing up. So I guess our generation is kind of trying to break those for sure. And again, an exciting time to be living, and very, very empowering. So before we let you go, tell us your favorite book.
Okay. I'm going to give you two favorite books.
Okay.
I think it's okay, because I have these two parts of my story, the digital nomad traveling part and the science communication part.
Yes.
So my favorite science communication book is Alan Alda's, and the title is If I Understood You, Would I Have This Look on My Face? It's kind of a weird title, but the whole point of it is something that's very dear to me in science communication. Having empathy and understanding the person that you're talking to, listening to them, having a two-way conversation, and real communication is when you create shared knowledge together. And I think it's so important, because a lot of us, especially when we're starting out in science communication, we're so excited and we want to go out there and shout it from the rooftops, like, hey, have you heard about this? Care about my thing. My thing is the most important thing. And everybody's looking around at you like, dude, why are you shouting? I don't care about that. So the lesson that Alan teaches us so well, because he's an actor and he teaches improv, teaches us so well, is how to really create a dialogue and give something of value to your audience, rather than just one-way talking. It's real communication.
Oh, that's lovely.
It's a great book. If you haven't, I feel like most people haven't read that one, but if you, I hope you will, because it's good.
Yes.
And one more book. This one I won't go into too much detail, but if you're interested in the digital nomad lifestyle, probably the most famous book is called The 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss, and it's a good book. It has a little bit of a reputation of like, oh yeah, it's Tim Ferriss 4-Hour Workweek, yada yada. But it's still got a lot of value in there, on how, well, for me, maybe the most important thing was like the 80-20 rule. 20% of what you do produces 80% of the value. And that really helped me think more efficiently and intentionally about how I spend my time. And yeah, it talks about how you can start your own business, use your time more efficiently, and travel the world while doing it. So that's another one to check out. Those are my two.
That's awesome. His podcast is great too.
I love it.
Listened to it before, but yeah, I think Tim Ferriss is great. So awesome. Thank you so much, Jessica, for taking the time on such short notice, and also for being a wonderful speaker at the event. I just cannot believe at the quality of speakers we had. Like, that's something I've been getting from everyone who attended, was just mind blown. Like, everyone was so professional. It's so had so much knowledge and value to share, and they were so open to share that, and including yourself. And thank you so much for keeping those chats alive and for taking all the initiatives through the event. And again, thank you so much. You're definitely my people.
Thanks, Prasha. You're my people too. Thank you so much. Awesome. This was really fun.
Awesome. Thank you.
And that was Jessica, also known as Rocky, with her amazing STEM story. Please use the links in the episode notes to follow Jessica, and also to watch her workshop on Wonder Women in STEM online conference.
Next week, we're talking to Dr. Tracy Finera, who is an amazing environmental engineer, and she is also an ex-mythbuster. So she's our first TV celebrity. Woo! I'm so excited. So make sure you tune in next week. Thank you so much for listening. Bye.